Oh yeah.
What's going on, everybody?
Yo, yo, yo. Inside Access with Access Capital. I'm Jay. That's Mark. My comrade. Left wing, right wing. Jim Rat. Not me.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday, motivating Mondays.
Start this Monday off right.
Just want to come to you guys with some information, some gems, some resources, educate you guys, as well as learn a few more new things ourselves in the realm of business. So
We giving
hopefully,
up game.
hopefully
That's
you
all it
guys are
is.
ready.
Giving up game. No fluff. Live and in living color on all platforms. Facebook, YouTube. We everywhere right now. All right, so top of the list today, we're gonna dive into business credit and business credit reports, and not so much the typical business credit what most people are used to, but we're gonna get deep into business credit. Not just the I need an 80 Paydex, not just the net 30 vendors. We're gonna break it down to simplicity. I touched
This is our first episode.
no, that was a figure jab. This iPad Pro, it got that screen at the top of the iPad right there. My finger scraped over the exit
Like I said, this is our first episode.
button.
You said all that to say what? Nah, this ain't. It is.
No. I wonder what that was.
So we gonna work through these challenges and innuendos and little quirks that we will have. So, but at the end of the day, it's the content that is the value.
All the
So,
time. So as I was saying before I rudely interrupted myself, um, we're gonna dive off into this business credit lane. And because we see a lot of we get a lot of clients, we see a lot of different conversation in a bunch of different groups. And in seeing that, you have people of multiple dynamics. You have people who are just starting off in business credit. You have people who have established some form of business credit, and then you have people that's been in business for a while that has built up some good business credit. But what we see is, well, most of it is the myth behind business credit. Because a lot of people think, okay, I got an 80 paydex score, I can go get 250,000. We see it all the time because people out here advertise to that dynamic to lure people in as a sales pitch. We gonna get you your, Dun and Bradstreet built up. We're gonna get you 80 PEDX score, and you better go out and get 150, 200,000. One of the things they don't tell you is most of that is vendor credit when you're starting off. So that's your net 30s, your store credits. It's not cash credit. You can still get some cash credit at that point, but when you try to go into the range of the 150, 250,000 range or above, the 80 paydex score alone is not going to get it. And the reason people can't qualify for it is what we're going to go through today. These important keys when you building your business credit, because it's not just about vendor credit.
boom.
Boom, hot stuff right off the gate. So let's get into this.
So, I'm gonna take this. What is business credit? Very similar to personal credit. So, everyone has should a social security number. It's a 9-digit identifier that you're able to keep It's a scorecard based essentially. It keeps record of your payment history, types of accounts, limits, payment history, things of that nature. Not gonna dive too deep into it. Got three major bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Well, your business in and of itself is an entity. It also too has a social or nine-digit number. It's called the EIN, Employee Identification Number, and that number is used for a number of things. And don't get caught up in paying for an EIN. It's free, 100% free. You can get it in about 5 minutes, irs.gov.
Same for a Duns number. Free.
It's free.
Might take you 2 days, but it's free.
So you can also establish and build your business up, separate your personal from your business, which we highly recommend as you start to grow and scale your business. A lot of times we commingle and we mix things under our businesses. But as my partner was saying, I'm gonna just dive into real quick the different tiers. You have tiers of business credit. Okay, you have your business credit tiers, and can be broken down into credit tiers when you're applying in a specific order. So you have your vendor tier credit. Your vendor tier credit is your first tier of credit that a business owner applies and uses to establish initial business credit. This is under the EIN. This is true business credit. Most of the time, this is not using your social. You have your retail uh, credit tier. The retail credit tier is a tier of business credit building that includes getting retail store credit through major retailers such as Staples, Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon, Walmart, and a bunch of others. Your next one, you have your fleet credit tiers. Fleet credit tier is the tier of business credit building that includes fleet and fuel cards, and maintenance cards, auto repair cards. And you have your cash tier. Cash tier is the tier of business credit building that includes cash credit, such as your Amex, and then your other signature MasterCard and Visa products. So, and it's broken down in those tiers for specific reasons. You want to build up at least 10 to sometimes 20 accounts underneath your EIN. So that's true business credit. So I'm gonna let Jay talk about the different business bureaus if that's what he's gonna go to next. That report and house this information when you're applying.
Yes, sir. Jewel dropping number 101. We drop a jewel. All this game is free. That's why we giving up the game. But if we drop a jewel and you like that jewel and that jewel help you grow, man, bang the cash app at the bottom. Let us
Hang
know.
it.
Bang it. Let us know that we gave you something worth it. Show us, show us, show us. All right, let's get into this. Now he broke down the tiers. Now I'm gonna get into the guts. This is what separate the young girls from the grown women and the boys from the girls. Here we go. I don't want you to do that. Is it live? Can y'all see it? Window to the wall. All right. So here's the business credit bureaus. DNB. Everybody know whose that is.
Wait, they might not explain it.
Well, that's the truth. DNB is the most popular bureau because this is the one that helps you get your vendor credit. Everybody that starts off with business credit, DNB stands for Dun and Bradstreet. Everyone that starts off building business credit usually starts off in DMB. That's the one you get your DUNS number for, like Mark just spoke of. Get your DUNS number. That's another identifier outside of your EIN number to put your company in the box to know that that company is you. Their Paydex score, everybody say 80 Paydex, but their scoring model goes from 1 to 100. Actually 75 to 80 is usually a threshold where most people fall once they start building credit. Then we move over to Experian. Experian score is called IntelliScore. Its scores ranges from 0 to 100. The thing about Experian is they take trade data, but they mostly cater towards credit cards and those types of credit products in which you get that reports on Experian. The thing about Experian is you have to get put into their database. Unlike Dun and Bradstreet, where you can go pay and tell them, hey, I got a credit line over here, or I got a credit line over there. Can you put this on my credit report so that I can do XYZ? Experian doesn't work like that. Equifax, same way as Experian. Their business scoring model is called a BFRS, which is a business financial risk score, and it goes from 1 to 100. Equifax is the same way. Your credit card, business credit cards, business lines of credit, things like that usually get reported to Equifax. Usually get the banks use that platform to report to, and some vendors also report to Equifax. So you can have your trade data actually, depending on who's reporting it, can report it to DNB, Experian, and Equifax, and it show. The only thing about Experian and Equifax is that you can't open an account and report it yourself. The next one after this is the SBSS. This is your small business scoring service. This is a combination of LexisNexis and the SBSS combined together. It's also a combination of your personal score and your business score. So your small business scoring service falls between 0 and 300. So this really is an overall picture of you as a business and you as an owner, or you as a total company as a whole, as a corporation, an entity in itself. Your SBFE score, which is a small business financial exchange score, is ranged between 100 and 992. Now, this little sneaky devil right here, this most people have never heard of this. And the reason most people have never heard of this is because it's real bank heavy. It's real lender heavy. So the ones who has the most access to this are your lenders, your credit cards, your banks, your financial institutions. This is who uses SBFE. As a matter of fact, you can pull your credit report from any of these listed here, and you will never see your SBFE score. The only person that can see a SBFE score is a lender who has access to be able to see that SBFE score. And then as a member under SBFE, they can go to Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, or LexisNexis, have their code attached to that credit report, and every time they pull a credit report, they can see that SBFE score. So let's say you had a credit card at Chase on the business, and you was late, and you had 30-day lates. When you look at your Dun and Bradstreet, when you look at your Experian or your Equifax, you may not see that credit card on there. But if another lender pulls a business credit report with SBFE data, they will see it. They will know how many credit cards you have, what the limits on those credit cards you have, as well as your payments. So, in knowing that, when you go to apply and you go to some move to get funding, and you know, when got 3 credit cards already, and you know maxed them out, and you think that nobody knows you to max them out, think again. This is why most people, when they come out and they get the applying everywhere, because no inquiries and all that show on other reports, you think that it's okay. It is not. All right, moving on. LexisNexis. LexisNexis is a mix of pretty much everything up above because they're big on gathering data. So their data is a combination of all these bureaus above. And then they take all that information that they gather through artificial intelligence, data mining, web scraping, social media, all that stuff, and they come up with their own score, which is called a small business credit score. And that score ranges between 500 and 900. So let's dive into a DNB report. There are, this is a typical DNB report here of somebody starting out in business. So I figured this would be the best example to bust down and dig off into it. Now, like I said, most people only focus on having a DNB score. But when you look at a credit report, there's a reason these other scores are there. Your delinquency score, your failure score, your viability rating, your bankruptcy, the DNB rating, all these things matter. Because here's where most people make the mistake and limit themselves on how much money they could get because their credit report is incomplete.
Now, I got a question.
Shoot.
What types of accounts report to DMB? Meaning,
Trade data.
okay, trade data, meaning, so that would be in what tier that I just named off.
One through three.
So that's your vendor credit, um, your retail stores, and like your fleet tiers, your auto repairs, your fuel cards, your maintenance cards, your Lowe's, Amazon, Walmart. Um, you got your Quill, your Granger, you got all those fillers, those easy ones. Give you a little $50, $100, net 30.
250,
Yeah,
150. Sometimes you get lucky, you go get you a hatch card or something with 5,000.
yeah.
I just dropped the
So
jewel. See that jewel I just dropped? That one clean over the head. They probably didn't even know what that was. Better go Google it. All right, so let's get back to this report. Here's the next section of the report. Now here's the other part. Oh, I'm gonna dive into this one. This maximum credit recommendation. All right, so as you can see, like I said, this is a new startup under 2 years old, just getting out the gate, got a DUNS number, starting to build up his credit. So when you go through these sections, it looked like a bunch of just random stuff, but it's not. Just like your personal credit, where you live at, your zip code affects your personal credit. Most
mhm.
people don't know that. Where you live at affects your personal credit. I'm gonna say it again. Your zip code, where you live at, affects your personal credit. So you can live in a low privilege area or an area where a lot of people have bad credit, and you can have good credit and you will not maximize your credit score, as opposed to if you lived in an upscale neighborhood where people had better credit and your credit was better, you would maximize your credit score. But the same rules apply for business, except across on multiple levels. The business is located, your opportunity zones and places like that where it's located at affects your score and your ratings. Um, the type of entry, your NICA code matters, because if you're a high risk business, they collect so much data, they know that a particular company in a particular sector has a higher rate of going out of business than a company in another sector. So if your company falls in that sector or your NICA code falls in that sector, when they go to look at this delinquency score, this is what's going to affect that delinquency score, because they're going to compile the data, which you will see in a second, that X percent of companies in this area of this type goes out of business within 3 to 5 years or 1 to 2 years, whatever the case may be. So this is how the risk level is determined. Now, the maximum credit recommendation. This is what people don't realize when a business credit report is pulled on you. So you have people that you ain't throw out no names or nothing, but you hear people and they'll talk about they're gonna extend you a line of credit for X amount of dollars. Where if you just starting off and you see this recommendation here is recommended at 7,500, and your report is blank like this, missing all of this data, and somebody telling you they're gonna give you 15, $20,000 line of credit, you might want to pump your brakes because it don't add up. And I always try to tell clients, I always try to tell people, look at it from the most simplistic point of view. If you was a bank or you was a lender and I came to you and I have nothing established to determine if I'm worthy of X amount of dollars and you had the dollars to give me, would you give it to me? And the answer is no, you would not. Moving on. Now, as you can see, when I was talking about viability, you can see where all this data is missing because they don't have enough data. Excuse me, y'all.
Bless you.
Thank you. You can see that all this viability rating summary that is missing and it's unknown because that data haven't been pushed in here yet, as well as the paydex score because he have no trades on anything. Now you see right here at the bottom, you see this DNB SBFE score. This is what I referred to when I said only a lender can see this. On a New York business credit report, if you put this yourself or you got it from DNB directly, you cannot see this score. So if you was going to a bank and you had an 80 paydex and just say you had a third of this information filled in and they open this up and they see this FBFE score and it's high risk, your lending chances just went out the door to a certain extent. You depending on what it was you was applying for. But if you was in the lane of applying at the bank, trying to get a commercial property, anything like that, where it was important, this is why how you build your business credit is so important.
And like he was saying, this is when you're building true business credit, that going through the different tiers.
Yeah, if all you want,
Now,
if all you want is a gas card and a line at Office Depot, that's all you need for your business. Then cool, you don't need to do all this. It's irrelevant. But if you're trying to go further than that and you're really trying to touch into equipment financing, like you got a trucking company, you want to get a fleet of trucks, and you want to be able to go down there and grab 5 trucks at a time with no questions asked, no credit, no personal guarantee, no nothing, you might want to pay attention.
like I was saying, when you're dealing with true business credit, so most people out the gate, especially for startups, and we deal with a lot of startups, you still can't get funding under your business, under your tax ID. But your personal credit, your FICO score is going to be the anchor. It's going to be weighed heavily on that approval. So you can have a 1 day old corporation and still obtain 6 figures in funding through our sources. Um, but at some point, you want the corporation, your business, to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, where you don't have to use your social as a personal guarantee, or when you hear people say PG, that's personally guaranteeing it. But you can get funding, business funding under your EIN with the brand new corporation. But your personal credit needs to be at least a 680 or better. And there's a few other things that go into that. And
Right.
that's where when you need to know, or we know, but we help you understand how the underwriting process works. I mean, we have years of experience dealing with banks directly as a center of influence. So a lot of times we're privy to information that the general public won't even know about. That stuff that's going behind the scenes. That's why they're called underwriters. So they give us historicals based on clients that we've funded in the past. So we'll use that gathered data to help execute a funding client where we want to take them the best odds in regards to the strongest FICO type of business. Like you said, all those things make a difference. That's not to say that these banks aren't looking at these data points that James mentioned, because a lot of them are, especially during COVID lately, because banks have been hit over the head. They've taken a lot of losses. So they need to be more cautious as to who they're lending money out to. They want to see your ability to pay back. The odds of you paying back, like you said, based on those risk scores, based on recommended approval amounts. But when the underwriter is looking at a file, a lot of times you'll have what's called DU, direct underwriting, or computerized underwriting. That's basically the system's taking the algorithm, the information, and just giving you an instant approval. But sometimes you'll get a manual underwrite. That's when a physical person is going through the application, looking at your data points, and seeing does it substantiate the amount of credit you requested. So with Access Capital, what we've been able to do and still learning, look at certain files and look at our historical data points and kind of help those clients get to the finish line, whether it might be through credit repair, credit enhancement, um, just to name a few things to help tweak or make them more what we call is lendable, more bankable. They might have to pay down some debt. Utilization could be high. They might have to pay off some things. So there's a few things that we can get pre-underwritten based on the historicals, our experience, our exposure, and our direct relationship and contacts with some of these banks. So that's why you definitely want to allow someone that has experience and exposure to this industry like ourselves help assist you. I mean, you can apply yourself, but a lot of times you don't know what to put on that application. You might kill it before it even gets going. So we'll look
Or
at
what you didn't
all
put on
those
the
elements.
application.
What'd you say?
I said, or what you didn't put on the application.
Yeah, what you didn't put on also. So there's just a number of data points, and even more so now, they're looking at data points that are embedded in bureaus and reports that the average person won't even know about.
So at the top of this report here, you'll see where it says DNB rating. It says special rating. That is so key. A lot of people completely look over that rating right there. And for whatever reason, that rating is important when you're trying to go get bigger money. So I'm gonna give you an example. I told you about the $7,500 minimum credit recommendation on that last slide. But what I want you to pay attention to here is the risk assessment of the overall business risk. But I want you to pay attention down to the notes and how they come up with this. When I told you about where you're at, the type of business industry you in, the zip code and where your business relies falls into this. And you can see the demographics that they give you in the report of where your business rank, the probability, the level, everything is right here. Segments any underwriter pulling can see. And you best believe they make their decisions off of this because the data is going to win every time. So the only way that you could beat the data is outperform the data. And what I mean by outperform the data, as you get into this next section, the things that people leave off they, especially on their Dun and Bradstreet reports, are they financials. If you're applying for money, you're trying to get money, you need to show that you're making money. You need to upload your financials, your tax returns, your profit and loss, your balance sheets. You need to show that you are making money. Why is that? This is what that does. If I pull a business credit report and you come to me and you tell me you need a $70,000 vehicle or a $70,000 working capital loan, don't get to the point where you submit in half information like Mark just said, or you fill out the application wrong because you don't want to put the a proper income of what you really make or estimated income of what you want. I'm saying again, your estimated income of what you really make, because when you leave it out or you don't do it or it's not on your report, now you're opening up for it to move from a computer generated automatic decline that you could get, or if you're lucky enough to get it into an underwriter's hand, now that underwriter got to come and ask you for things to prove what you're asking for that you can sustain it. But if you have it already in your credit report, when they go to pull it, they don't have to come back and ask you for anything because the data is already there. they can already see it. So when Mark make the comment about being getting DU, because a lot of companies now are using AI, that AI is going along and it's pinging every one of these things I just showed you. And each one of them gives a point, gives a score, a number to it. So going down and hitting these data points, and yours only calculate up to 50, and the threshold to get approved was 70, you came up 20 points short. That's why it's important. Because if everything is there, when them data points hit, the computer gonna say approved, and the chances of another underwriter coming behind that to go against that outside of verifying minor things, it'll work in your favor. If you don't have it, it can work against you. I'm gonna show you another thing that's this is the rating too. Before I skip past that, this is the rating, and this is what those ratings mean and how it's classified. How many employees you have, um, how long you've been in business, your income, financials, and your income. So when you get this rating, it changes your whole dynamic of your business credit report. It becomes less about the 80 paydex and more about that rating. Now I'm gonna show you what happens because the other part is consistency of information. You start a business off and you start off using your house address, and then you find out that you're not supposed to use your house address, and then you go move over to a virtual office. Now your address can change. You have to make sure that your information is consistent across all forms, documents, databases, and everything. Because if it's not, here's an example of what will happen. Every time you move an address and you apply for a credit somewhere else, after you done move to location, that system, because like I said, it's artificial intelligence. It's just data. All it does is collect data. That data system does not know that this is the same business that was at 123 address. That's the move to 345 address street. So what does it do? It assigns it another DUNS number because it thinks it's a different company at a different address just with similar names. So as you can see here, this company moved three different locations. It has three different DUNS numbers. So now when you go to apply for credit somewhere and you log in and do like this, same way on this screenshot, which this is me logging in, looking at a company, you see it has three different numbers. So on your application, you put your DUNS numbers was, say you put your DUNS numbers was the bottom one with the 113 number. Well, if you had credit at the 065 number address and you had credit at the 016 address and they're pulling the 113 based off that DUNS number, which is your original DUNS number, your credit is spread out across two different DMB numbers. So your profile don't even have all of your credit on there. So the best way to do it is when you move or something changes, you need to update all the bureaus across the board so that your information stays consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you what happened now. You see this where it says severe? You see over there where it says valuation risk 9? You don't ever want your company to be in this status. And this could happen even though she has an 80 paydex, that flag right there is bad. Nobody's gonna touch her. Now this happened after she built up credit. And this is how this happened. People build credit and think they can cut a corner. People will say, okay, I'm gonna say I extended you X amount. I'm gonna buy this DNB credit builder. I'm gonna report that I extended you XYZ. And you like, okay, because you just want to build your credit up. He told you a fancy number. You did it, but he did this for 150 other people. This is 2021.
So,
Artificial
so let
intelligence.
me say so. Are you saying this doesn't work?
It does not work.
And why is that?
Here's why it doesn't work. If you go back, what I said earlier about the recommended dollar amount in which the profile in itself when it's pulled, DNB recommends to extend this amount of credit. So if you brand new, you don't have no credit, and your recommended level is zero to say 7,500, any reputable bank or institution is probably going to cut that number in half if it extends you credit. It will not go above it unless it's something that is collateralized. Now, when somebody else comes along and say they're going to give you two times what your recommended limit was, which they don't even know what that is because they have no access to pull a credit report to even determine what that is. But you go along with it because the number is fancy. What happens is when DNB start hitting these data points, and it's the same company coming in with these credit builders, and the same people keep saying that this company extended me this credit, and it's 50,000, 25,000, 15,000, or crazy. Some I heard high as 100,000. When they do this, number one, if you look at their companies itself, the first thing I would want to look at is their company. If their company ain't built out, how are they extending you something that they don't even have limits for their own self? If you are a hair salon and you say that you got credit from somebody that's in consulting, just hypothetically speaking, we just picking two random type of companies, and the consultant company is going to extend you $20,000 on net terms, and he doing this for 20 other people, right? So let's do that math. Real simple math. 20,000 times 20 more people. So he just extended out $400,000 in credit to 20 companies. And he don't even have his financials in there. His financials better be in the millions to be able to extend $400,000 in credit, hoping 20 people gonna pay him back in 30 days. So what end up happening? You get that. If you look over to the right, it says supplier evaluation risk rating 9. That's one step from 10. So that means suppliers in which this person said was extending credit just blew up her DNB report. And that's why I say severe. Bang,
So,
bang that cash out.
question, because we both understand and we know people that do this, in their prospective businesses. So then, would the safe approach, if you wanted to use this to basically keep those numbers in a realistic range? Because obviously, DNB has set up this platform, you as a vendor or as a business, to actually extend credit. So if you're a real business extending terms, then it makes sense. Is
Yes, it
that safe
does.
to say?
Yeah, it's safe to say. But here's the
Okay.
thing: if you're gonna go down, if you're a company and just to say that's what you want to do, you want to extend credit to client, it's a proper way about that go about doing it. It's called becoming a data furnisher. It's a proper way to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. It is companies out here that are not data furnishers that do extend credit. That if you're in DNB systems and you've been in there for a while, you don't have no bad ratings, and your profile is good, that they will accept your a recommendation based on somebody saying that they got credit from them within reason. So in those situations, yes, it works. But in the overall scheme of things, if you're going to play that path, then the proper path would be a data furnisher. So just like we have access to report to Dun& and Bradstreet, and we can go in and pull a credit report. We can show a person the SBFE data and all that stuff, and we can look at a file to help them build it because we actually can see what it is advantageous as opposed to somebody that just saying I'm gonna give you some credit and you don't even know what that person's credit report or nothing look like. You're just doing it off a whim, and vice versa. You're accepting that credit or using that company from that aspect off a whim. You have no idea. You're just doing it because you think that it's beneficial to you. Is it? Absolutely not. It can go either way. It's a crapshoot, and I would lean heavily towards 70-30. on the bad side, ended up on the bad side of it.
So so when people come to us, or say someone's starting a business, um, obviously they might not have business credit, but they got a corporation. They got the EIN. All those little data points are there. Business address or virtual office, 411 listed number. If you don't have one, if you don't have a virtual office or 411 listed number, what are some recommendations?
You can use your house. I know people that have used their house and had no issues because some corporations it works. But here's how you work that to in your favor to make it work for you. So if you're using your home and you set up a business at your home, create a lease between yourself and your business. Small lease, nothing fancy, just says that I am leasing out a portion of my office or my portion of my home, which is using your home office, to XYZ LLC or Inc., and have a lease agreement between them. Now, here's two things that benefits from. One, you could get the tax write off because you used your home for a business. Two, it distinguishes the home residence from the LLC or the company that you have. And even in between there is tax benefits within there. I'm not a tax consultant. You need to consult with one that can break it down to you, but I'm telling you, it's tax benefits in within that space of doing it like
We
that.
do have one though,
Yeah,
if you need a recommendation.
yeah, we definitely do. Hit us up. We're gonna have him on one week, and we're gonna bust down all the tax cheats and codes and write offs and what to do and not to do.
And for that address, if you don't, follow our link in the bio, our social dot access the number two capital.com.
Bottom of the screen. Bottom of the screen.
And we have a link in there if you need a virtual office to help with those data points to help prep your corporation, get ready for some funding. Um, as well as the 411 listed number.
All the
Where can they
time.
go for that?
Bang the social. Bang the social. This podcast is sponsored by ClickOver.
Click over.
Clickover.com. Make sure y'all go check that out. Y'all starting off and you need I need that business phone service B2B. The number that's all combined into one. You get your number listed in 411. Very low cost monthly, full service, all the bells and whistles. Can't beat it. Hit them up, tell them access you. They'll look out for you.
Absolutely. Cool, cool.
And we forgot. And they report to Dun and Bradstreet and Experience. Just FYI, just throw that out there.
Throw that out there.
Throw
Just a
it
little
out there.
shameless plug.
Little shameless plug. Tier one company, old tier one startup.
Get you going, get you going. But also with that social dot access, the number two capital.com, all of our products, all of our services, looking for funding. We have some of the best automation services for our funding. And we're getting people approved, pre-approved for up to $250,000. And that could be a mixture of funding. If you don't have the business, we can get it just on your personal. But if you have both, then bam, you could come from both angles and maximize your funding. So, with the information we gave you guys today, just bringing insight to what a lot of people don't understand that path to success is, that information you see Dun and Bradstreet, you see Experian, Equifax. It's a lot of information. You don't know what's going on. So hopefully we were able to, break some of that down, simplify it, dumbify it to where now you can understand how these banks are coming to their decisions when it comes to the lending, even if it's not personally guaranteed. Now you know how
Proper
to build it.
proper proper planning beats piss poor performance.
Like sugar free. If you
Have a
stay
good
ready, Gotta get ready.
Got to have a game plan. Stop chasing. Stop chasing the hype. Stop chasing all the.
They call it the the shiny object.
Yeah. Stop chasing the shiny object. Stop
We've
chasing.
done it.
Yep. Stop chasing
We're all
Instagram
guilty.
hype. I've been in this for 20 some years. I done seen it all. I know it all. I done seen every angle. I done seen every hookup. I done seen every twist. I done seen every legit. I'm telling you, stay away. And especially going into this year. It's so much changing. Back, 2008, back in 2008, that run in there, a lot of the stuff that people recycling and bringing back and regurgitating is not going to work going forward because now you have artificial intelligence in place. You have, I mean, AI. It's like you're not getting around AI now. So taking shortcuts,
Data points.
yeah, them data points is man, they dangerous. I mean, to the point where they know what, when you go open up a bank account, they know everywhere you had a bank account, every bank account you went bad at. They know what credit cards you got already. They know what your limits are. They know, if you file your tax returns, all that stuff. They know all that stuff come up in the system now with the click of a button. So you put an application in. It's just that simple. It's just is what it is. So that's why you have to keep your data in uniform. You have to make it matter. Um, the little nuances that you think is nothing, it means something now.
Absolutely.
And just because one person might slip through the crack doesn't mean the next person. The first person can slip through the crack, the next one can fall in the crack. That's all I'm saying. Don't let you be the one that fall in the crack. Bang the social. I'll put it back at the bottom of the screen. Hit the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. You're watching on Facebook, hit the like button, subscribe. We're gonna be doing this every week, every Monday. We're gonna be just giving up game after game after game. We're gonna be bringing in bankers, underwriters, because you only gotta take it from us. We're gonna let you hear it from the horse's mouth. Um, just jewels, man. That's all it's gonna be. Follow us on the Instagram, AXS Capital.
Subject matter experts. I mean, I know you guys are looking for Airbnb, real estate, just other business owners getting the insight and the idea of that entrepreneur journey. Because
Speaking
trust
of,
me, it's not the most sexiest thing like the ground will portray it. We're going to bring people in that walk you through that process, give you some insight to what it
yes,
really looks like.
yeah. And speaking of, it's not this Friday. I think it's next Friday. Uh, Speaking of Airbnb, next Friday we're gonna be doing a segment on Kevin Anderson's Airbnb profits. So make sure y'all go follow him on Instagram too. Sign up for his Airbnb class. Do do Airbnb class of beats. We did his class. Um, we did the business segment in there, helping people set up their corporation and stuff to do the Airbnb on his last mastermind. And all his clients, man, been grabbing up 3, 4 units at a time, man. It's awesome. Dude's a grinder. So make sure y'all go check him out. Matter of fact, what is Kev handle on Instagram? Kev made me. Kev motivated me.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's
Instagram.
Kev motivated. I think it's at Kev motivated me. Should have had his stuff up here. Kind of.
Well, next time.
Yeah.
It's the first one. It will get better. It will be smoother. I know a lot of stuff we talked about. It's not the sexy stuff, but it's the essential stuff. Trust me. If you're trying to run a business and not some expensive hobby, the information we
It'll put
are
some
giving
money.
you is what you
It'll
need.
put some money in your pocket. I can, man. I'm trying to tell you. It'll put some dollars in your pocket.
A lot of us be running expensive hobbies. We filing losses for 3, 4 years. We get an IRS a letter from the IRS talking about you gonna close that.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right?
You ain't made no money in how long?
That's the other thing too. Like we get this a whole lot from clients that come in that want 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is. So we get to looking at their financials of what they make, and especially ones that's been in business for a while, and every year they done file a loss because they don't want to pay taxes. That's the most wrong thing you could do. It's just don't do that because what you're saying, you basically cutting your own self off right then and there when you file a negative, when you file that you took a loss, because what you're saying right then and there is your business is not making any money. So when you go to really want some money, and we seen it happen a lot during the pandemic, when people try to come back and get money because the restaurants was closing, or they were struggling whatever space they was in, and they try to come get capital, and they had filed the loss. You can't get nobody's going to touch you, and it's for to be like that for the next 2 years. They for to tighten the nooses up on giving out money. They setting so many guidelines in place. We just had a client where
But we got the secret sauce all day.
uh we just had a client that went through the same thing where we put her in credit score with 760 across the board, perfect credit, no problem. Sent her to the bank. I ain't gonna call out the bank name because we're gonna have one of them on here, so we don't want to bust them out like that. But um, sent them to the bank.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, a couple of weeks ago, client same status, damn near got approved, no problem. 2 weeks later, they changed the program now to they want the client to have a relationship with that bank. They changed the guidelines, so they declined her because she didn't have a relationship with that bank. She banked somewhere else. And the reason they're doing this is because people they like I said, it's all data. They going through the data. They're seeing that their customer clientele is dropping off for whatever reason, going out of business, whatever the case may be. They're losing customers. So when somebody come and apply to borrow money from their bank, they're trying to make you become a customer so they can build a customer things back up. So they will deny you or not deal with you if you don't want to be a customer. Or they want you to tell you, oh, you got to have a relationship with us and be with us for 2, 3 months or 4 or 5 months. Well, that's because they want you to deposit. If you still in business and you still operating, you got good credit and you could come through the pandemic, they want that business over there with them, as opposed to the people who can't, who losing their accounts or not making no money at all. So if they try to make you punk, I should say punk you into coming signing up with them for 6 months so they can get your money deposit so they can help they books. So it's just so much different stuff, man. It's just, and if you don't know, you don't know.
You only know what you know.
You only know what you know.
What you don't, you don't. We not saying we know it all, but we
We
run an
do.
operation where
We know a
we'll
whole lot.
seek out the information if we don't have it in house. We'll
Brains.
point you in the right direction.
And
We won't
Kev's Instagram is Kevin motivated me. By the way,
won't
I
leave you
verified
hanging.
that. Shout out to Kev.
So definitely want to appreciate everybody for tuning in to this last episode, this first episode, not the last episode. I'm sorry, the first
Hey,
episode
you did
of many.
killing us already.
It's killing us all. Um, just continue to engage with us. We'll continue to bring the content. We'll continue to bring the services, drop the information, different gems and hacks as we get them, find out that they work, and just bring value overall. The financial literacy space is really, really huge. A lot of people are looking to pivot and be better coming out of this pandemic. So collectively, individually, I think we can get that done.
Without a doubt. Make sure y'all follow us on the gram at Access Capital. Check out the website, Access 2 Capital, AXS 2 Capital. Hit us up, man. We got free game all the time, man. We here.
Is
See
that
y'all,
it?
see y'all on Monday. Same time, same bad channel. One.
All right. Peace.